Mark Bishop Show. Truly like a box of chocolates. You never know who you're going to meet. From business, lifestyle, and fun. Here's Mark.
And welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Mark Bishop Show. You know, it is a frightening experience when a dog charges at you. You go to somebody's home, either through the front door or, and then it goes and bites you. Well, for mail carriers, this is a constant concern. In fact, the Postal Service reports that their letter carriers fell victim to dog bites more than 5,200 times in 2025. And, well, what are they doing for 26? They're just trying to deliver mail. From nips and bites to vicious attacks, aggressive dog behavior poses a serious threat to USPS employees. So, to emphasize the enormity of this issue, the Postal Service is reporting the number of dog attacks and bites together as the most prominent threat to carriers. And I'm fortunate today to have the U.S. Postal Service Senior Director of Occupational Safety and Health, and that is Linda DeCarlo. Hi, Linda.
Hello. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Well, you're responsible for developing and implementing innovative nationwide safety and health awareness programs and policies on a variety of important safety topics. And one of them, of course, is doggy bites, right? So what is it with postal workers? Why do dogs do this, do you think?
You know, it might sound like something you just hear about, but as you said, dog bites are actually a real and ongoing safety issue for our carriers. You know, with thousands of dog bites each year, we really need to bring focus on how to make sure our carriers and anybody else who's coming to your door are safe. And in order to do that, we have to engage with your listeners and our customers and make sure our employees are trained. It's going to be through a collaboration between all parties that we work together in an effort to address the problem. 5,200 employees were bit by dogs last year. That's 14 people a day. That's not sustainable, and we can definitely do something about it through this campaign.
Wow, 14 a day. It makes you turn off wanting to do the job, right? So
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, I think you better give our listeners some tips then, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, one thing that you have to keep in mind is that the dogs are doing what they're supposed to do. You know, they see us as an intruder. We're invading their territory. We're approaching their family. And all they're trying to do is protect their territory. So there's just some simple steps to be a responsible pet owner that you can take. The first and biggest one is make sure your dog is secure, either on a leash, tethered in the yard, or in another room away from the front door when we come to deliver your package. We don't want to see the animals roaming free. If a carrier delivers mail or packages to your door, again, place them in a secure location. Move them away from the door. You'd be surprised at how many times a dog has jumped through a screen door and even through a window just because they see us as intruding on their property.
Right. Well, they're doing their job, aren't they? You know, protecting the family, thinking, it's very hard because there's no good screaming at them or yelling at them because they don't understand. So you've got to work on these other ways to be able to try and curtail, I've been working on my little doggy at the front door, trust me. But
I bet.
It's they're just doing their little gig, and it's taken me a while to learn that. But people have to, they have to teach their dog appropriate behavior and commands. As you say, they can't allow them to roam freely. But when you tell me they jump through, screen doors, plate glass windows to attack visitors, that could hurt the doggy too, eh?
Oh, absolutely. And when we talk about securing your dog, leashes aren't just about the dog and keeping people that are near the dog safe, but also to keep the dog safe. At the end of the day, we have to remember that dogs are animals. They act instinctively and they can behave unpredictably, even under the best training situations. Dogs don't understand our communication the same way we do. So under the right circumstances, each and every dog can bite. One misstep or one wrong move can lead to our carriers being injured. And that's something that we really need to address.
Well, when you touch on that, Linda, there is an example, isn't there, that parents need to remind children not to take the mail directly from the letter carrier. Well, why not? What's wrong with that?
You know, that's been something that we even battle with our employees about, because our carriers like being part of the community, like being that friendly face that you're used to seeing. They love it when people come out to greet them as they're delivering the mail. But if your dog is out and unrestrained, your child is at more risk for us approaching them or for them approaching us. Because, again, the dog is doing what's supposed to do. It's protecting their family. And we can be perceived as a threat if we're approaching that child.
Right.
So we simply ask you to either tell the child not to take the mail or to put the dog away and then come out and engage with your letter carrier, because we are always up for some fun and some friendliness.
Yeah, so the dog may view the letter carrier handling mail, handing mail to a family member as a threat. So, you know, they don't discern what's going on. There's got to be a way. I mean, I'm thinking, what am I visualizing, Mark? Well, I want something I can hold in my hand. And you know how they have these whistles that only a doggy can hear? Something that just makes them, boom, stand still till you're finished and then you're gone. And then they do their thing again. So what about the technology that the Postal Service is using to protect its workers? What are you guys doing?
Well, you know, we use technology to support our carrier safety in two different ways. The first is that handheld scanner, that mobile delivery device. I'm sure you've seen your carrier when they deliver a package. They scan the barcode so that we can document when it was delivered, or you can trace where your mail is through the system. But it also has a feature that you may not know about. It allows us to indicate a potential hazard or the presence of a dog on a property. And this is really handy as we're seeing employees, you know, covering for each other during the summer vacation time. You may know that that person has a dog, but the person who's filling in for you does not. This gives an alert within a 25-yard distance that just says, hey there, Cosmo likes to hide under the car and surprise you. He doesn't bite, but he loves to surprise you. And this information is really helpful as you're approaching that driveway for two reasons. One, you're not freaked out and scared. And the other is, if you're pulling into the driveway in your vehicle, you can be sure not to hit Coco.
Yeah. Well, the big awareness, folks, the big awareness campaign is on, right? This June, it's very important. And if you'd like to, you know, read a lot more, go to the website. It's very informative. www.usps.com/dog bite awareness. All one sentence, dog bite awareness. So, in closing, Linda, it seems like the awareness campaign is making a difference. So how can people help the momentum and keep it going?
You know, that's a great question. And as you said, the good news is that it is making a difference. We are seeing fewer incidences each and every year, but it really comes down to communication. So please, as requested, check out our website, usps.com/dogbiteawareness. Also check out our blog. We have information about the campaign that you can share with your neighbors, your friends, and your family. We also have information available on all of our social media platforms at #DogBiteAwareness. So just keep this issue in front of each and every person that you know that has a dog, wants a dog, or lives near a dog.
Well, www.usps.com/dogbiteawareness. Simple. Excellent. Cup of Joe and your podgies. Have a good read of that. Well, man, a staff of over 1,000 safety and health professionals in all 50 states, 630,000 employees who deliver right across the states. And, of course, the vehicles, you know, 215,000. I've seen doggies chase them down the road, too. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Thank you, Linda. Good luck with this campaign this summer. Let's hope to God the numbers come right down.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Linda DeCarlo, ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. Postal Service's Senior Director of Occupational Safety and Health. And you heard it here on The Mark Bishop Show. We'll be back with another episode soon.
Join us again for another episode of The Mark Bishop Show. It's a production of Mark Bishop Media.